outside Foster Pavilion. The fans lining up since 4:30 a.m. for a monster battle in the Big 12 as Baylor takes on Kansas. Welcome to the College Basketball Pre-Tip Show. And as mentioned, inside brand new Foster Pavilion, it's number 7 Kansas on the road taking on number 15 Baylor. And welcome courtside, everybody. John Shambi and Fran Fraschilla. Welcome to the best basketball conference in America. Who would have thought that these two teams would be such big-time rivals? But here we are. Kansas and Baylor, they've split regular season matchups each of the last 4 seasons. We'll see what happens, but this league is no joke.
It's no joke, and it's even stronger now that BYU, and how about number 1 Houston in this league? Every single night is hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah, Joe Lunardi right now has 9 teams from the league into the NCAA tournament. It's been chaos this season in the Big 12. But you talk about 14 teams in the league, 9 of them have been ranked and close games. Oh, there have been close games. 39% of conference games decided by 5 points or less. And if you're a ranked team going on the road, look out. And Fran, you check out the standings. Houston is in the top spot. They're number 1 in the country.
Yep, you don't expect Kansas to be looking up at the top of the Big 12 standings, but there they are. And Kansas and Baylor, as you pointed out, John, is still one of the great rivalries in college basketball.
Yeah, it's been great for Kansas and Bill Self. At times, it's been up and down. For this season, health has been a major issue. Depth has been an issue. You look at what's taken place so far this year. KJ Adams continues to be one of the more improved players in the country, but they've done well against the best in the country, against the top 10. They distribute the ball especially well, and Hunter Dickinson has been as advertised.
He has. He's been an All-American just like he was in Michigan. Now, look at this. They have never lost under Bill Self 7 conference games. And here's the good news today for Bill Self. We were in practice last night. We talked to Coach Self this morning. He not only has Hunter Dickinson healthy, he has Kevin McCullough back in the lineup, a young man who's been out for 2 weeks.
Yeah, Kevin McCullough, who's missed 5 of their last 8 games and had a really good chance to be the conference player of the year. Right now, I think Jamal Shedd has a pretty good beat on that. All right, so as far as Baylor is concerned, for Scott Drew this season, he has leaned on youth.
Yes, he has, because he only had 1 starter back from last season. So these 2 freshmen are precocious. Walter and Misi played well in Lawrence. They've been arguably the last month the 2 best players on this team, and Baylor fans enjoy them because they are both likely headed to the NBA draft in June.
Jacoby Walter's been as good a freshman as there's been in college basketball. Meanwhile, Ebe Misi, a post presence, going to be interesting to watch him here today.
He had 21 in that last meeting against Hunter Dickinson.
Now, one of the things with this matchup between these 2 teams, how about these 2 coaches, Bill Self and Scott Drew, both in their 21st seasons at their schools. Since the 2008 season, they each have won 18 or more games, at least a national championship. Combined 8 Elite Eights. They are something else.
They are something else. Bill Self in the Hall of Fame. Scott Drew will someday be in the Naismith Hall of Fame. And it is now still the greatest rebuilding job in NCAA history on the basketball side.
All right, speaking of coaching tactics, one of the things to look at here today, Baylor's defense. How will Kansas handle it?
Well, Baylor's played a mix of zone and man lately with success. Kansas has always had good success against that 1-1-3 zone. You see 4 green jerseys out, so Self deploys his best player on the baseline, and they play a little 2-on-1 back there. And you know why it's been successful? Other teams are copying it. Take a look right here. 4 white jerseys out. Watch the red jerseys of the Cougars. They'll play a little 2-on-1 on that backside with some success. But remember, Scott Drew told us he'll go with what works today.
Yeah, Scott Drew, putting it in baseball terms, the man-to-man defense is that fastball, but they love to throw the deuce in there with that zone. That's their curveball. We'll see how Bill Self and company handle it. First time these 2 teams met earlier this year, February 10th. Baylor a season-high 21 turnovers. Kansas prevailed 64-61. It is jammed just under 8,000 inside Foster Pavilion as we get ready for this battle in the Big 12. Well, you've been watching the college basketball pre-tip show from Waco, Texas, here at Foster Pavilion. Brand new building here in Waco, and the Baylor Bears at home taking on Kansas. It's number 7 and number 15. As of right now, Joe Lunardi has both these teams as 3 seeds in the NCAA tournament. The Big 12 boasting 9 teams right now in, and you're watching the Big 12 on ABC. They've got a whiteout inside Foster Pavilion, and it will be loud. Kansas has never lost 7 Big 12 conference games since joining the conference. Grant Fraschilla alluded to that for Baylor. They've won 3 straight at home against Kansas. And we get ready to tip it up. Meese and Dickinson, Baylor in the white. That guy in that costume, and Kansas in the blue. No call on the contact as Jaden Nunn got knocked to the deck. Ray J. Dennis controls, and it's Baylor ball.
This offense has gone through the 2 freshmen lately, but Ray J. Dennis really valuable.
Meese. Oh! Wow! How about that for a start to your day? Eve Meese, the freshman, into your living room.
And again, John, Baylor opens into 1-1-3 zone. Keep your eye on Kansas.
Dennis probing. Had it knocked away briefly. McCullough on him. Kevin McCullough, you see the sleeve on that left knee. Walter, the pull-up. And Furphy, the freshman, pulls down the rebound. Fans wanted to travel. Johnny Furphy, the freshman from Melbourne, Australia.
I think you got to shoot that ball.
Dickinson hooked that 2, and we're tied up.
There's what we talked about, John. They didn't get it to the baseline on the first side, but very patient. But DeJuan Harris today is going to have opportunities to shoot the 3, and he's got to do that.
Health-wise, Kansas, McCullough is playing for Baylor. Langston Love is not. Meese spinning. Left hand, good.
Watch the blue shirts down on the baseline, because that's where Kansas has had success against this defense.
Harris with Nunn stepping out. Harris. Shot clock under 10. Dickinson. Kick to the corner. McCullough. Out of the hands of Adams. Baylor the other way. It's a versatile Baylor offense, including Langston Love, who's not playing. 6 guys average double figures. Bridges had it knocked out of bounds, and it's Baylor basketball.
Well, watch this pick and roll. They get Hunter Dickinson away from the basket. Watch Meese. This looks like a blocked shot, and he hangs in the air. This is a great finish, John. There's a plethora of NBA scouts here today. Quite frankly, they've been surprised at the quick development of this young man over the course of 3 months.
Meese finds Dennis. Shot clock under 10. Dennis to the corner. Walter, ball fake. Walter inside. That one wouldn't fall. Murphy navigates through traffic. And now the point guard, DeJuan Harris, one of the best point guards in the country. Does such a great job distributing, and a decent shooter. Adams, lob. Dickinson throws it down.
Well, there's that. That's exactly what we talked about. They play 2-on-1 back there. And what Baylor's got to do, they don't drop well. Let's go back, and we'll show you that in a little while. Watch this now, right here. Look at the 2 blue jerseys on the back baseline. And it's just 2-on-1, and you're throwing it up to a 7'1" guy. We will see Baylor have to get out of that zone and play more man if that continues.
This crowd on their feet, loud and into it at Foster Pavilion. Brand new building. It is a gorgeous facility. Walter thought about shooting the three. Shot clock's at 5. Bridges puts it on the floor. Hangs, can't hit. Out of bounds. And it belongs to Kansas.
Keep in mind, John, with McCullough back, this is as good a starting 5 as you'll see in college basketball. The problem for Kansas this year, no depth.
Harris, pass deflected. Adams gets it to Dickinson. Another lob. Well done. KJ Adams, a big guy. He handles, he rebounds, and he passes.
He is a terrific passer. I think if you talk about power forwards in the country, maybe as good a passer as you'll see. And again, Baylor's going to eventually get out of that defense. Trust me.
Dennis using the Messi screen. Kick to the corner. Bridges. He got off to a hot start, hit his first 4 threes against TCU. Good ball movement, but Murphy can't finish. They get the foul on Baylor. Foul on Jaden Nunn, his first. Kansas up by 2 in the early going.
Hunter Dickinson has all 3 Kansas baskets, and take a look how they put him on that baseline. They make Messi guard the passer, KJ Adams, so when you throw the ball up at the basket, there's usually a guy that is not 7'2" back there with Dickinson, and he's had early success against that zone.
Averaging a double-double, a little over 18 and just under 11. Meanwhile, Messi, you mentioned his growth, the freshman has needed to be dealt with really all year. He's made such an impact.
Well, I think in a league that has a plethora of older players, the fact that Messi and Walter are playing as many minutes, John, I felt that Baylor has the most upside of any team in this league going into the NCAA tournament.
Really good offensive team, the Baylor Bears. Furphy at the line, knocks down the first. Johnny Furphy, 76% free throw shooter. He replaced Marco Jackson in the starting lineup after their loss to UCF on January 10th. Last 6 games has been a little cold from outside. And it gets 1 out of 2.
Now, unlike Baylor, Kansas has not played 1 second of zone all year.
Inside the paint, Jacoby Walter went down briefly. Messi with Dickinson on him, and that one rejected. Out of bounds, 8 on the shot clock. Baylor basketball.
Well, you can see that Scott Drew is going at Hunter Dickinson with Messi. Dickinson gets this shot blocked. Dickinson really struggled against BYU on Tuesday night, guarding especially away from the basket.
Catch and shoot, Nunn from Dennis, and he got it. Jaden Nunn shooting 45% from 3 this year.
I'll tell you, John, his last 40 shots, he's making 50%. He's on fire.
Tied up at 7. Toss inside. Adams. Good ball movement. Kansas distributes the ball so well. Wide open. Furphy buries a 3.
Yep, I don't like this defense at all. Right now, Kansas, you talked about the best assist rate in the country. They're moving the ball terrifically.
Ray Dennis handling here. The Toledo transfer started his career at Boise State. Nunn gives off. Joshua Jonwuna has checked into the game down in the post. Dennis with Adams all over him, trying to scoop it out of bounds, and a really good defensive possession by the Jayhawks.
Well, we talked about the way Kansas attacks the baseline, but watch it go baseline out, across the court, back inside. And then Johnny Furphy, who, as you mentioned, has been in a shooting slump, knocking down the open look. The young man from Melbourne, Australia, who 8 months ago had no idea he might be heading to the NBA.
He is a popular figure on campus in Lawrence. Lob, McCullough. Does any team run lob plays better than Kansas?
No. Bill Self is, there's a reason he's a Hall of Famer, John, and it's partly because he knows how to carve up a defense.
And a lot of times it's not even a play necessarily as it is a read, right?
That's right. Yep.
And a foul on the floor. Bridges absorbs the contact. Now we get a great college basketball Saturday for you on ESPN. NC State and 9th-ranked North Carolina coming at you at 4 Eastern. And then it's Virginia, number 10 Duke. Finally, number 4 Tennessee and number 14 Alabama square off in our primetime matchup.
And if you want to watch All-American candidates, R.J. Davis from North Carolina having a superb year. And how about Tennessee's Dalton Connect, who is a revelation after transferring from Northern Colorado.
Parker Brown is checked in, and he grabs the miss from Bridges, who thought he was fouled. This is Elmarco Jackson. You know, you talked about lack of depth on the Kansas side. For Baylor, at times, it's been an issue as well. They lost the game at home here at Foster Pavilion in overtime. They had 4 guys play 42 or more minutes. None. Can he save it? Yes, he does. Walter from Dennis. Got it. Could be a top 10 pick in the NBA draft coming up.
Well, from our vantage point where we are, that had extremely beautiful rotation. And that's why there are a lot of scouts here today.
Adams had it knocked away, dives on the floor. And now we'll go possession arrow, and it stays with Kansas.
Well, let's watch inside in the hustle first by Nunn. And I want you to watch this beautiful shooting stroke. A young man from McKinney, Texas, who is off to the NBA, barring anything unforeseen. And from day one, Johnny had 28 in his debut against Auburn in November. Just a terrific young man, great character, great family. And certainly when you play as a freshman in this league, you got to be pretty darn good.
He goes 6'5", 195 pounds, and a great shooting stroke. As he is shown off here today. Shot clock under 10. Harris picks up the dribble. Adams doesn't even see it. McCullough got to put it up. Loose ball. Dickinson had it. Has it again. Collision. No call.
And guess what defense they're in? They've switched to man and got out of that zone. Good hustle right here. I think he's good. He's bobbled it, and then when he put that pivot foot down, he held on to it. And you see the man-to-man defense, so they hit the curveball, John. And now they're going to try to throw the fastball.
Dickinson off the mark. Bridges rebounds the miss. Bridges really good rebounder. Lob up. Ojabuna can't put it home. And now a foul, and Walter went down hard. I think they got Furphy. They did. That's his first.
Now watch again. We're talking about a little pick and roll. When you get Dickinson away from the basket, it's trouble, and Baylor taking advantage of it. BYU went into Lawrence on Tuesday night and carved up that Kansas defense to the tune of 13 threes, but also drove the ball hard.
Kansas led by as many as 12 in that game and ultimately lost 76-68. Their first home loss of the year for Bill Self. Josh Ojanwuna, the sophomore from Nigeria.
Interesting, John. He played at the NBA Global Academy in Australia, and so did Johnny Furphy. They missed each other by a year, but come out of the same program.
Another 12 to go first half. Lob to Adams. Bridges sniffed it out. Adams knocked it out of bounds. And it'll be Baylor basketball when we come back. Speaking of Baylor, what a rebuild job Scott Drew has done. More on that when we come back. One of the great rebuilds in the history of college basketball, arguably the best ever. Scott Drew, 97 seasons prior to him, they had 2 20-win seasons. And then here he is. What a program he has built.
Yeah, a lot of people, including myself, thought he was crazy to take this job. He had been a head coach at Valparaiso for only 1 year, but this was enticing, and the rest, as they say, is history. National champions, and now one of the great programs in college basketball.
The smile and the thumbs up with the hard hat is pretty perfect for Scott Drew.
Have you ever seen him have a bad day?
Not really.
When we've been around him.
His version of a bad day is
everybody else's great day.
Yeah. Caleb Lohner's checked in. John with a wide open avenue to the basket, and he takes advantage after the hesitation.
Well, teams have been going out Hunter Dickinson when he's on the perimeter, and you can see it right there.
Well, that's what BYU did.
Yes, they did.
With the three-pointers in that game. Baylor on a 7-0 run, lob inside.
They've got to call that now. And that's exactly what John would have said. I can't guard a guy who's pushing me in the back.
Dickinson with 8 of Kansas's 14 as we close in on 11 to go here in the first half. John Shelby, Fran Fraschilla, welcome to Foster Pavilion for this battle in the Big 12 on ABC. Lohner puts it on the floor, goes at the basket, puts it in. They say offensive foul.
Take a look in the corner. Watch the left arm, the right arm, I should say. That's an easy call.
Caleb Lohner transferred from BYU, but he's a Texas native from Flower Mound. Who do we know? Marcus Smart?
Marcus Smart's a kid that was a pretty good Big 12 player at Oklahoma State from Flower Mound.
Harris gives off Dickinson. Kansas and Baylor tied at 14 apiece. McCullough inside, left-hand scoop will go.
Looks pretty good. He's had 2 weeks of rest and recuperation. Kind of middle of the week. Didn't you worry when Bill Self said we're not sure we're going to get him back this season?
McCullough with 4. Dickinson leads all scorers with 8. And here's Jaden Nunn. Lohner, ball fake, jump hook, gets it to go.
He's what we call a energy guy. Plays hard, throws his body around.
Lob attempt, and this time a misfire. McCullough the turnover.
Watch the little handoff here, John. McCullough gets downhill. And then Caleb Lohner, you mentioned the transfer. This bully ball inside, and when you bully KJ Adams, that's pretty good.
Substitutions as Will Self bringing in Parker Brown, Jamari McDowell.
And Finland's own Miro Little
coming in for Baylor.
Yep, freshman point guard. Well, if you're watching at home now, understand Baylor's gotten out of that 1-1-3 zone. It was ineffective. They're playing man-to-man. And Kansas always plays man-to-man.
Grand tough travel week for us, as coming up on Monday it'll be Texas at Baylor.
Oh my goodness.
We're staying put.
And you know what? Some great restaurants here. This has become a great college basketball town.
Dennis with Jackson on him, and Jerry Pollard calls it travel. It's a turnover.
Well, I think what Ray J's saying is they knocked the ball out of my hands, but Jerry Pollard has made that call 10,000 times. Ray J. Dennis, John, watch this now. Let's just watch if they hit the ball and they knock it loose. I think he still had possession, but he reminds me of those old Villanova guards, the post-up game. Kind of a Justin Moore.
There's a physicality to him, no question.
Yeah.
Jackson here. Now swings it back to him. and it'll be Baylor basketball. Man, this is a good example. Bill Self as a Hall of Fame coach. I mean, it's 16-16, and you're in Waco, and he has Jackson, Timberlake, McDowell, and Brown on the court at the same time. I can't imagine those four have played very many minutes together this year.
I totally agree. I was thinking to myself when they were out there, he's buying time until the 8-minute mark, and then at that TV timeout, he'll get everybody back. John, he's got to play the long game today. So you got to get those starters out.
Messi on Brown. Brown blocks it. Messi gets it back. And one! Wow!
Watch this battle underneath. Parker Brown gets the best of Messi first, but he stays with it. This is the best freshman big man that Scott Drew has had. Watch, this is a great defensive play, but he comes up with it. And for a young man who's got to continue to get stronger, look at the energy and joy that you love from this guy.
How did Messi even get that to go? It was almost a tip, as much as a shot.
Can I give you an answer?
Yeah.
He's a great athlete. And he's way ahead of the curve as far as his development.
16 points in their win at TCU this past Monday. And Baylor has the lead by 3. Timberlake now. Harris turns the corner. Lob, and Brown the throwdown. The younger brother of Christian Brown, Parker.
Christian now with the Denver Nuggets. John, I think he's the older brother.
He is the older brother,
yes.
I beg your pardon.
Yeah. Well, watch DeJuan Harris now. He's a pick and roll maestro. He's going to come off this ball screen, and Messi stays too high. Brown gets behind him, and then Jaden Dunn. I'm telling you, the VCU transfer has been absolutely terrific. Over the last 8 games, he's averaging 14 points a game.
And none one of their 6 that averages in double figures. Langston Love sitting with that ankle issue that he's had. He has now missed 6 of their last 7, including today. And yeah, as I mentioned about Parker Brown, Christian is his younger brother. Trying to spit it out. Sorry. Baylor by 3 as we close in on 8 to go.
Now they're going back to the zone, so they're just mixing up their defenses against maybe the inexperienced substitute from Kansas.
To the corner. Timberlake will try. And Walter rips down the rebound. And now a line change for Bill Self. He's got 4 heading to the scorers table. Furphy, Adams, McCullough. And a great move by Messi. Dickinson set to check in. Biggest lead of the game for Baylor. The Bears at home by 5. Baylor by 5 back in Waco. Messi chose Baylor over Texas and Stanford. And you talk about a young man having an impact.
Yeah, no question. The youngest of 4. A young man who grew up in Cameroon. Brother played at Harvard, Steve Mondu Messi. And John, I don't think anybody expected for this young man to have this kind of success. And now Kansas dealing with an issue with Christian Brown.
Like his foot. So they're working on him. So Parker Brown getting his foot worked on. Connor Dickinson off to the good start with 8, but Messi with 9 to lead all scorers. Kansas down 5.
Remember I mentioned that Bill Self was buying time with his starters? It was expensive because that was a 9-2 run by the Bears without those starters.
Loader, and Harris gets it to go.
Does he ever miss that shot? He's got that weapon in his repertoire. Did I say repertoire?
It's okay, Homer. DC hands off Walter, straight on 3. Good box out And McCullough all the way down. That wouldn't fall. Loose ball. Baylor has it.
Well, they missed McCullough's ability to play in the open court.
Walter, catch and shoot. That missed everything out of bounds. And Baylor basketball. We've got an ESPN women's basketball triple header for you on Sunday. The final games of the regular season for these teams. South Carolina looking to make history and finish undefeated. They score up against Tennessee at noon. And then it's number 17 Notre Dame hosting number 22 Louisville. And the afternoon capped off the rivalry game, Duke and North Carolina at 4 Eastern.
I think I'm going to sneak over to see Baylor and Oklahoma State tomorrow at 11 a.m. here at the Foster Pavilion. Nikki Collins, Baylor Bears. Oklahoma, the regular season champion in the Big 12.
None, off balance, off the mark, and a rebound by Dickinson. Furphy has it up ahead. And now the Jayhawks able to secure it. Ron Harris looks back at Bill Self. Harris hesitated for a second.
Oh, I thought he almost traveled.
Me too. Good feed inside. And Adams able to find Dickinson, and the big guy is 10.
And the reason that play worked is that DeJuan Harris and Dickinson play what we call two-man basketball. Once Harris gets into the paint, the defense is at his mercy, and you saw it right there.
They got a foul on Dickinson, and he's frustrated, and Bill Self is really upset. Marcus Pettigrew showing good patience and restraint over there.
Hunter Dickinson is an All-American. He has played like it. But
Bill Self saying that is a flop.
well, here's the deal. Nobody ran him over. Listen, everybody in the league knows that this is a great player, but he is a veteran. Take a look right now. He made contact. And it's not a flop if you make contact and you fall down. Sorry. Hunter comes out on the long end of those calls during the season.
Walter to the corner, and Jalen Bridges. Shot clock winding down. Walter trying to find Ojonwuda, and it goes between his legs, out of bounds. It's a turnover.
Yeah, it's a bad pass. He knows it. You can't throw a bounce pass to a 6'11" guy. And Josh Ojonwuda, they're talking about the deflection. I didn't think it was. Walter did.
Bill Self heated. I think he is still litigating the Dickinson foul with Jerry Pollard.
Let's watch, John. No, that ball, unless it tipped to Furphy's hand, I thought it went right through Ojonwuda's hands. Oh, absolutely. And Jacoby Walter did a great job of selling it.
1 point game. And tempers are flaring. 5:40 to go first half. Back inside Foster Pavilion, a 1 point game. Fran Fraschilla, I gotta say this officiating crew, I think, has shown good patience and restraint with Bill Self and with Scott Drew actually wandering out onto the court. It's a veteran group, or at least 2 of the 3 guys.
Yes, and you know what? They're gonna miss a few. I think they've missed a couple already, but in a game like this, you don't expect the players to make 100% of their free throws.
Yeah.
Scott Drew went zone early. That didn't work. And on occasion, I thought they missed the last call, but
Jerry Pollard, Marcus Pettigrew, Chris Pacey. Pettigrew and Pollard, veteran guys, and they've shown a lot of cool.
Yeah, no question.
Shot clock winding down, and out of bounds. It'll be a shot clock violation. Jacoby Walter coming off a 16-point performance on the road at TCU. He had 13 of his 16 after the break.
And you know what? He was shooting into the TCU student end and loved every minute of those 20 minutes. I think Bill Self's got to be really happy seeing Kevin McCullough out there. This looks like Kansas.
Well, there's Harris, gets that little flip shot in, and Kansas has the lead. one has had some flow in stages. It's been choppy in stages. Lob attempt. McCullough comes over as he sniffed it out, knocked it out of bounds.
That's pretty much how you could summarize every game in the Big 12.
Yeah, fair enough.
The defenses in this league and the coaching is so good. You get to March, everybody knows everybody. It's just like a backyard brawl.
Obviously, with rules changing a little bit, Walter catches, shoots, and buries a three, gives Baylor a 2-point lead.
You want to see where he's matured? He's missed 2 shots badly, turned it over, and still not hesitating.
6 lead changes. Ojanwuna came flying in, knocked it out of bounds.
Watch this great inbounds play. I got dizzy watching Walter come around the screen 3 times, or at least twice. Once, twice, here he goes. It's like a merry-go-round. And a great stroke.
McCullough with Ojanwuna on him. And that pass goes off of Adams. It's a turnover. 4th turnover on the Jayhawks.
And again, Baylor switching to the man. And I think the man-to-man defense has been more effective than that zone in the first 16 minutes.
Baylor's done a good job taking care of the ball. The Bears only 2 turnovers when these teams met February 10th. A Baylor loss. They turned it over a season-high 21 times. Bridges puts it on the floor. Left hand. Wouldn't roll home, but he'll go to the line and shoot 2. The West Virginia transfer. We talk about the world of college basketball. You see all these transfers. It's kind of startling. We're starting to get used to it, but to see a McCullough transfer inside the league, a Bridges transfer inside the league.
How about L.J. Cryer left here to go to Waco? Avery Anderson, Oklahoma State to TCU. Micah Peavy as well. It's a new normal, John.
Yeah.
And the great thing about the Big 12 is Scott Drew and some others were ahead of the curve on transfers. And this league will continue to get top-level transfers out of the portal. I think this guy at the foul line is Baylor's Kevin McCullough. Versatile, 2-way player, can shoot it, plays with intensity.
Excellent rebounder, and he can really shoot, as you said. Baylor by 4 as we close it on 4 to go first half. John Shelby, Fran Fraschilla inside brand new, beautiful Foster Pavilion in Waco, Texas. Dickinson with Ojanwuna on him. Dickinson lost the handle, out of bounds, and it'll be Kansas basketball when we come back. Our under 4 timeout, and the lead is 4 for Baylor.
Kevin and Dallin in studio. Start of a great day of college basketball coming up at the half. We'll check in on a huge game in the SEC and a potential play-in game in the Big East. What do you make of the way the Bears have defended Kansas so far?
They had to change from that zone, as Fran has mentioned a couple times. It was not effective. Now, when they got into man, which is interesting, we'll show this more at halftime, is how they're fronting Hunter Dickinson. They don't want him to have touches. How they've executed it, sometimes have been successful, sometimes not. But that's a huge key to this game, as well as ball screen defense on those side ball screens. Kansas had some joy. When Baylor's able to get that ball off the rim and play ahead of their defense, we know those guys can score. They've done a good job of that.
Boog and Fran, some big news out of the Big East. Both Tyler Kolek, Oso Ighodaro will not go today for Marquette in their big run with Creighton.
Wow. Ooh. Kolek, one of the best point guards in the country. Furphy not able to hit. Dennis speeding up ahead.
You talk about great point guards. Kolek, certainly Tristan Newton from UConn, and Houston's Jamal Shed, who I've just fallen in love with this season.
Shed, a brilliant defender. Dennis will try. And hit. It's a 3. Seven is the biggest lead of the game. Adams off a great feed from Harris.
Yeah, but it's not a good defensive play because Jalen Bridges has got to know that that is what we call a pocket pass, and no one does it better than KJ Adams. You have to take that away.
McCullough back the other way. Great hands, Walter. Oh, boy. I mean, great hands by Jacoby Walter. Even better pass by Harris to get it back to McCullough.
That's where Harris uses that 6'7" wingspan. But it all started with a great offensive set by KU.
Nunn puts it on the floor and gets the scoop to go. He's got 7.
Let's go back and watch this, John. You have to take away that bounce pass. No one's better at this. You see those hands by Bridges? You got to have your hands ready on that. And then this is an amazing play by DeJuan Harris. Deflected, saved, and Kevin McCullough, the recipient.
DeJuan Harris, top 10 in the country in assists per game. Kid that had originally signed with Missouri State. His connection to the Brown family, Christian and Parker, is part of the reason he ended up at Kansas. Intended feed for Dickinson, deflected out of bounds. And it'll be the Jayhawks ball with 17 on the shot clock. Baylor by 5.
Yeah, Baylor's done a really good job on that high-low because they have the length with Misi and Ojonwuna to knock that ball away, and have done it a couple of times. Murphy's got to shoot that. He's been in a slump, and he's hesitating.
Murphy is fouled. Murphy with the cut to the goal. And Johnny Furphy will go to the line and shoot 2.
Let's revisit Johnny Furphy if this is the first time you're watching him. He was at the NBA Global Academy in Australia, in Canberra. He came to Atlanta in July to play in an AAU tournament, thinking that he would go back to the Center of Excellence, that's where the NBA Global Academy is, and play another year. He played so well that Kansas said, look, we don't want to wait till next year. We'll take you right now. We need you. August 3rd, he committed. And, John, I got a feeling he's going to stay in the NBA draft because right now he's in the top 20.
Those first 14 games slowly built confidence. And in the last 13, he's made such an impact and really been one of their primary three-point shooters. A guy who originally had one offer, it was to Sacramento State. And then it blew up into becoming a Jayhawk and effectively reclassified. Right?
Yes, he did, and he just turned 19 in January, so the world is his oyster.
Murphy skies for the rebound. Bridges. And it's out of bounds, and it belongs to Kansas. Under 2 to go first half. Baylor by 3, and the Kansas Jayhawks with the basketball.
I think they look pretty good. Given that McCullough's back today and coming on the road, I'd say I'd be very optimistic if I were a Jayhawk fan.
Harris turns the corner. Scoop is good. Harris doing it at both ends. The reigning Defensive Player of the Year in the league as Bridges tried to save out of bounds. And it's Kansas basketball.
I don't know if there's he's no longer underrated, okay? Because everybody knows how good he is. He started on an NCAA title team. It's hard to believe, John. This is his 5th year at KU, and he's got 1 more year to go. And I asked Bill Self a couple of years ago, what are you going to do when he leaves? He goes, we're going to have to find a coach on the floor, because that's what he is.
Yep.
Very much like Shed for Houston.
And again, turns the corner, flips it up, and in. DeJuan Harris with 2 more. He's got 8.
He's taken over this game on both ends of the floor. And this place, which has been raucous, is all of a sudden like a theater.
Dennis, feed to Misi, kick to the corner. Walter going to work on Furphy. Shot clock under 10, and that one deflected out of bounds. We use underrated a lot, but specific to DeJuan Harris, just to back it up. At the beginning of last year, he was not on the Bob Cousy list for top point guards. That was before the season started, which was pretty ridiculous.
It is pretty ridiculous. If he walked through a mall, you wouldn't think he was one of the best point guards in the country.
Now, again, before the start of last season, and now As Dennis hits that shot, kind of mirroring what we've seen Harris do at the other end. Baylor by a point.
I would expect a little post up here by Dickinson.
Harris. Good hands by Bridges. Bridges fires it up. Good half of basketball as Baylor at the break leads it by a point. Number 15 leading number 7, 35-34. Been entertaining first half here in Waco. Time to send you to the studio. Kevin Connors and Gallon Cup.
Boog and Fran, every bit the game we thought it would be there in Waco, a 1-point lead at the half. Gigantic showdown to start the day in Columbia. South Carolina home to Florida. Gamecocks won back of Tennessee and Alabama. This one has been great as well.
This is a Florida team that I think can make a deep run in the tournament. That said, South Carolina's had a heck of a year, and at home, that place rocks. And they started slow, the Gators did. They came back into this game, and I thought they were going to have the knockout blow for South Carolina. They've not been able to put it on them, and they've relied on their defense. This is what Lamont Paris's team is built on, is defending. That's how they've got themselves back on top over the Gators. This
is Zion pulling. Florida led by as many as 10, but DC, to your point, the Gamecocks have come back. This is Michi Johnson on the follow-up.
That's a terrible drive and a turnover there by Pullen in that situation. Great block, great hustle. But South Carolina, when they've gotten the pace of this game and they've grinded on the defensive end, that's how they've turned it around. 4-point
game over on ESPN. Kevin Connors, Dallin Cuff. Start of a great day of college basketball here today on the ESPN family of networks. Dickinson has 10, Yves Missi has 9. What about the change defensively? How has it impacted Dickinson's impact on this game?
Yeah, going with zone just didn't work. They were torching him, the Jayhawks were. And when they went to the man, what was interesting about it is they were going to deny Hunter Dickinson touches by fully fronting him. What I mean by that is sometimes you play on the low side or the high side, allowing the ball to be entered, then you defend behind once he gets his touch. You try to push him out along the way. Fronting is what it says. Your back is on Dickinson's body, and you're putting your arms up. You're not allowing them to enter. You need good ball pressure to execute that, so you can't just throw it over the top. But also you have a Hall of Fame coach in Bill Self. So let me show you one of the key plays they needed to go to as they were down on a 7-0 run here. Take a look. 7-0 run. They're down 2. You have a Hall of Fame coach again. We want to get Dickinson a touch. We now know they are fronting the post. So here's who you're watching. Is Dickinson's going to come off the screen. Excuse me. Kevin McCullough's come off the screen. Dickinson's going to set it there. Jacoby Walter defending. Ojanwuona defending Dickinson. As he's coming off the screen, he's going to get a little bit of space. McCullough's going to get, and now he's going to turn and try to post and set him up. A couple things here. Because it is the middle of the floor, you have no help side right now. You've got shooters in the corner or players in the corner, but you can't help because the ball's in the middle of the floor. Now, this is the challenge for Jacoby Walter. As he closes out, he's a freshman, you got to get your hands up. Again, that ball pressure's got to be great. You got to take away vision because right now, Kevin McCullough has a straight look into Dickinson. Now we're talking 7 foot, let's say 3 bills, but pretty close. And he's able to push Ojanwuona up the line, and now that pass comes over the top because there's no help side. Bill Self knows that. We'll play it in the middle, get away with a little push, over the top, easy layup on that side. They have to defend better in terms of their fronting. They've done a good job. They need to do a better job. On the other side, also, Yves Missi is attacking matchups. So out of this little ball screen, Missi's going to come set the ball screen here for Walter, the best freshman in the country. This is a good job by Kansas. They're not allowed to let him play out of the short roll. He can't get a touch right there because it would be 4-on-3. They're going to get recovered and matched up again, which is great stuff. The problem now, though, is look at all this space. You got a 40% three-point shooter in Jalen Bridges. You got Little on the other side shooting 36%. Again, what we talked about on the other side, ball in the middle of the floor. You cannot help. Look at all that space. Acres of space. Poor Parker Braun. That is a lottery pick that has space and time and goes to work, gets an and one. And Braun, unfortunately, rolled his ankle there. Both coaches are elite. You're seeing them execute that. Their players go execute different plays they're calling, taking advantage of certain matchups. I think for Baylor, we always talk about their defense. It's got to be, as they continue to front, ball pressure, stop the high-low easily. Also, the side ball screens, they've got to clean that up. And when they do that, they get those stops, they get the ball off the rim, and they can play ahead of Kansas on the offensive end, which helps their flow.
McCullers had an impact on this game, but the rest of the Jayhawks, 12 of 15 from the field. Kansas shooting 65% as a team. When we come back, a pivotal game for Illinois in terms of their seeding. We'll head to the Big Ten. We're coming back with more after this and a word from your ABC station. Kevin and Dallin in studio. Start of the day. Joey Brackett's last four included Wake, New Mexico, Seton Hall, and Providence. Villanova among his first four out, setting the stage for a colossal showdown inside the artist formerly known as the Dunk. Cats and Friars. How about Nova? 13 of 23 from deep.
It's what they want to do. In terms of the whole country, they are top 10 in the nation in 3 points attempted per field goals attempted. And when you're making 13 on the road, they are hard to beat. 22 bench points, too. You don't count on that when you're in a league game and a must-win game, but a number of the Cats have stepped up here.
Brendan Housen's been great. Eric Dixon's been a factor. Lance Ware as well, and the Cats are 34 seconds away from a gigantic win, 69-60 on the road.
Our researcher Mackenzie Kramer can exhale now.
Exactly. Safe day for us the rest of the day. Illinois on the road in Madison. Down the Fighting Illini in danger of dropping off that four line.
This is a team that I really like in their potential to make the Final Four. They have struggled defensively as of late, and they've lost these games that they should have won. This is on the road against Wisconsin. They are not favored to win this game despite them being the ranked team. Big shot by TJ Shannon. They've guarded slightly better in this game. And Wisconsin's problem is they've gone through their swoon of losing 6 of 8 is turn the ball over. That's what they've done again. 14 points off turnovers, allowing the Illini to play at pace and score more freely.
2-point game. Meantime, some other bracket impact games today. No Kolick, no Iguodaro for Marquette on the road against Creighton. Gonzaga a chance to pick up its second quad one win in 3 days. St. Mary's 16-game win streak on the line. And then D.C., which Virginia team shows up today against Duke and Cameron?
That's a big one for me, man, because I was talking to Luke Hancock, former player, most outstanding player of the 2013 national championship, and he's saying we were talking about Virginia being a lock for the tournament. I'm concerned. I really they are on one of the last four byes. They've lost 3 of 5. This could be 4 of 6. Offensively, they've looked really bad. Defensively, it's been good, not great, but through some of those losses, there's some question marks there too. And we look at their overall resume, they're 3 and 5 in quad one games, but they won at Clemson. They won against Wake, and Wake's on the bubble team. They have a good win against Florida and neutral. This is a problem. If they pull this off, they're fine. But I don't think they're winning this game. And the problem is they may look really bad in the process of losing the game.
Part of what we're saying is all of these games today at this point in the season so very critical. Hunter Dickinson playing like it for Kansas. He's got a game high. 10 points in Waco, but the Bears are up 1. What an unbelievable scene it'll be tomorrow in Iowa City. College game day in the house. For senior day for the great Caitlin Clark, it comes your way 11 a.m. Eastern time on ESPN. Dallin, Florida led by as many as 10 in the second half. Nietzsche Johnson has been off the charts.
I mean, this young man is a worker, he's a player, he's a grinder, and he exhibits everything Lamont Harris wants in a player. And that's a big-time shot right there.
He's got 25 right now. Eve Misi off the charts on the NBA level as well. Second half is next. More after this and a word from your ABC station.
Back here in Waco, the Bigs made their presence felt early. Eve Misi with 9 first-half points. Not to be outdone, Hunter Dickinson with 10 in the first 20 minutes. And at the break, Baylor leading it by a point. Inside Foster Pavilion, it's number 7 and number 15. The Baylor Bears and the Kansas Jayhawks welcome courtside John Sciambi and Fran Fraschilla when these teams met earlier this year, February 10th in Lawrence. Kansas was able to prevail here today when things got going. DeJuan Harris was a guy that really asserted himself.
No question. He understands the moment, what his team needs. And in the last 7 minutes, 8 points, 4 assists, and dropping dimes all over the place, hitting the floater. Here's an interesting number, John. You ready for this? Dickinson and Harris, 9 of 10 field goals, 6 assists, and responsible for 31 of Kansas's 34 first-half points.
All right, so Kansas' third best field goal percentage shooting in a half in Big 12 play at 65%. Baylor taking care of the basketball. And the Bears at home here. And Baylor will have the basketball to begin the second half. Jacoby Walters set to inbound and gets it to Ray J. Dennis. Lob here. And that one in and out. Nisi couldn't finish. Back at it, and Meese is fouled to get Dickinson that time.
Well, they tried to get Hunter Dickinson away from the basket, which they did, and the lob pass a little bit misthrown. But take a look right here. It looks like it's going to be a highlight play, but watch Meese. We talked about the quick jumping, John.
Yeah.
And then, quite frankly, Hunter over the last few games has really struggled defensively.
Meese, 60% free throw shooter. Had that heartbreaking miss at the end of the game against Houston, a game that ultimately they would lose in overtime. And after that game, he came back to the gym and shot at least 100 free throws.
Yeah, he's comes from a great family. His dad is a Cameroonian banker. Sister's a surgeon. Another sister's a model. And his older brother, Steve, who I mentioned, played at Harvard, an investment banker in France. Great genes.
McCullough. And eventually Dickinson gets it to Adams with the work to collect that pass. Now Kevin McCullough.
This is where Kansas is great in that two-man game. Yep. So you wonder why they average more assists than anybody in the country. Other than Harris, they don't really have a lot of point guard play, right? But those two-man games with Dickinson and McCullough are basically their motion offense. It's really effective.
Meese kicks out, none. And now Walter. Rebound Bridger. Walter will try again. And an offensive rebound again as Meese has it. McCullough steps into the passing lane and puts it in.
Jaden Nunn fell asleep, and Kevin McCullough's done that a couple hundred times in his career.
Kansas has the lead. Dennis got a piece of the paint, and now Harris takes it away from him. Harris ball fake, feed to Adams, and eventually it's taken back by Baylor. Nunn swings it to Walter. Meese going to work on Dickinson. Shot wouldn't fall. Dickinson rebounds. McCullough. Harris goes down to the ground to pick it up. And now Dickinson gets some relief with McCullough. It's been a feisty start to the second half. Dickinson, jump hook, deep paint position, and he's able to get it to go.
Yeah, that's where Hunter's at his best. If you get that deep on a defender, Hunter's going to make you pay.
Timeout Baylor, a dozen for Dickinson. Kansas on the road, and the Jayhawks have a three-point advantage. Back inside Foster Pavilion, we go inside the play.
Well, let me show you how you make the Naismith Defensive Player of the Year watch list. Watch Kevin McCullough now. He's going to just jump this passing lane. Sloppy pass by Nunn, and that's what Kevin does. One of the best defensive players in the country, and man, do they look like Kansas again with Kevin out there today.
28 points in the paint for Kansas. Inside the three-point arc, they're 17 of 21 today, 81%. Walter with Adams on him. Kick out Nunn. Nunn drills a three. They're one of the best three-point shooting teams in the country, the Baylor Bears.
At 7:40 this morning when we walked into the gym, who was shooting threes? Jaden Nunn.
Harris, pocket pass, throw down, Adams.
Got to take that pass away. What happens is you get two on Harris, and then it is over.
It's a two-point Kansas advantage. Walter lost the handle for just a second. And Walter able to hit.
What a move. He put that left shoulder into McCullough just enough to get some separation. And that freshman is on his way to being a sophomore, although he won't be here next year.
Murphy gets into the paint, flips it up, wouldn't go, and then it's knocked away. Baylor basketball. Bears trying to break a 42-all tie. Nunn is fouled on the floor. They get DeJuan Harris with that last foul. 42-all here in Waco. A good one in the Big 12.
True story. There's nothing more March than a conference title chase. It's the Volunteers and the Crimson Tide. The SEC crown is coming down to the wire. Experience number 4 Tennessee, number 14 Alabama. Tonight on ESPN.
Sonic Blockbuster coming up tonight on ESPN. Number 4 Tennessee, number 14 Alabama. I know you're a big Dalton Connect fan.
Yes, he connects the dots for Rick Barnes. That is tonight. You'll see the number 1 offense in college basketball, the Crimson Tide, against the number 4 defense. And Tennessee now with a legitimate chance to get to a Final Four because of the defense and because of Dalton Connect.
Dan Schulman, Jay Billis, and Jess Sims calling that one. Dennis picks up his dribble, and now a kick to the corner, and Bridges. Bridges step back, got it. He's got that length at 6'9", difficult to deal with, and a really good shooter.
Yeah, and I thought Johnny Furphy did a good job defending him.
Baylor by 2.
Oh, I think we see a little zone here. And that's what happens when you play zone against Kansas. So, goodbye, zone. Let's go back to man-to-man.
Lob to K.J. Adams, and we're tied up at 44 apiece.
That's really asking for trouble, John.
Yep.
Seriously.
Yeah, Kansas has hit the curveball, as Scott Drew has called it. Dennis working on Harris. Misi banging into Dickinson. Shot clock winding down. Shot blocked out of bounds. And it'll stay with Baylor. 2.9 seconds on the shot clock.
Watch Dickinson hold his ground. Now, Misi has got length, but this is a 7'2" guy. And just perfect defense and perfect timing. And that's what we call verticality. Stay hands to the ceiling.
Dennis looking for someone. Catch and shoot Bridges. And it's a 3. And Baylor leads.
Guess what defense they're in? Man-to-man.
Shot clock under 10. McCullough from the elbow. Got it. Kevin McCullough with the bucket. He's got a dozen.
Big time shot again. Good defense by Bridges, and Kevin just shot right over him.
Bridges. Murphy rebounds it. Intended pass down low. And I believe, yeah, they get a kick ball. 1-point game, 14:03 to go here in the second half. Kansas and Baylor. John Sciambi and Fran Fraschilla for this battle in the Big 12. Harris, open 3. And flying in for the rebound is Nunn. Nunn at the basket, and puts it in. A dozen for Jaden Nunn, and the crowd has come to life at Foster Pavilion. Lucy steps out, blocks Murphy. Dennis up ahead. Nunn. It's good. Timeout, Kansas. Back here in Waco, It's Baylor by 5. The Bears making a run.
Yeah, watch Jaden Nunn. He surprises Perfy. Perfy backpedaling and doesn't realize the speed of Nunn. And then coming right back at you. Block shot on one end. Nunn runs that lane. And watch him get it right to the rim without using the backboard right here. You know, we talk about Baylor, John. You mentioned 6 in double figures. No Langston Love today. Why I'm so optimistic about this team in the NCAA tournament is the defense and the size on the back line, but 6 scores. And Nunn showing you what he can do.
Big time. This crowd has been loud the whole game. Dickinson turns and he's short with that shot. Meese rebounds. Dennis. Feed down low. Meese puts it home. He got hit in the eye. It's an 11-4 Baylor run. McCullough aggressively at the basket for the Deuce.
Well, he's been doing that all year. He has a sense of the moment. And Yves Meese still holding that eye, John. I think we got a substitution for him right now. Jerry Pollard blows the whistle.
So Meese hit in the eye.
And Kevin McCullough accidentally. You know, this reminds me of last year at Oklahoma State when Langston Love was poked in the eye, and we really didn't see him the rest of the season. He scratched his cornea. There you see Langston right now nursing an ankle. Another one of those guys in double figures. They expect to have him back here shortly.
Yeah, he's missed 6 of 7, and he had played really well in Big 12 play, averaging a little over 11. Nunn and Baylor heating up. $17 for Jaden Nunn. Dickinson got fouled. Baylor by 8, 12 to go. Jaden Nunn with 17. All right, so you look at the Big 12. What does Joey Brackets have to say? Right now, 9 are in, but Houston fighting for the 1 overall seed. And Kelvin Sampson's team, as of now, would be on the 1 line. Iowa State would be a 2 seed. Kansas and Baylor would both be 3 seeds. And 9 teams in, with Kansas State and Cincinnati hoping to get into the tournament. That kid, he looks like one of those Easter peeps, right?
I'm hungry. I'm hungry. Hungry for more basketball.
We talked about Harris and Dickinson being such a factor in the first half. They've been quiet to begin the second 20. Dickinson to the corner, and it's intercepted. Dennis. Bridges puts it on the floor. Right hand goes. He's got 9. Bill Self's team's down 10.
Weapons everywhere for Baylor.
McCullough can't hit. Dennis the rebound.
Watch Dennis. He's a great post-up guard.
Against Marco Jackson. And a give off Walter. Nunn for Ojonwuna. Marco Jackson wanted the call, and Ojonwuna gets the bucket. Timeout, Kansas.
Well, Jalen Bridges has been on fire from 3 lately, but watch they chase him off the line, so he's just as comfortable hitting that little off-foot floater right here. Watch him square his shoulders and shoot it like he's standing still. And Bill Self said, hey, I'm not saving these timeouts for next week. I'm going to use them all if I have to.
It's a 7-0 Baylor run. And the Bears have hit 6 of their last 6 shots. The three-point line. That's a story. When Baylor plays well, that is really one of their strengths. And Fran, one of the things that's unique about Kansas, they're the 7th-ranked team of the country. They don't shoot a lot of threes, and they don't shoot it especially well.
They don't. It's just that kind of year. And, you know, you talk about their bench, and we've talked to Bill Self about this a couple of times recently. And I said to him, you're never going to be in this situation again. He said, no. He goes, I want to have 8 starters going forward. This is as poor a bench as he's had in 21 years. There's no question about it.
Baylor by a dozen. College basketball Saturday continues. Check over on ESPN. NC State 9th-ranked North Carolina at 4 Eastern, and then it's Virginia, number 10 Duke, and finally number 4 Tennessee and number 14 Alabama square off at our primetime matchup. A Sonic blockbuster.
When you talk about shooters, Duke's got Jared McClain, the freshman, who's having a phenomenal season. Still trying to work it inside.
Jackson hesitated, shoots a 3, and knocks it down, and they needed that.
Oh, they sure did. El Marco doesn't shoot it a lot. But that time, 29% on the season, he nails it. Wide open, had to shoot it.
Just Kansas's second 3 of the game. To the corner, Walter. And that rolls out. McCullough now. Walter was trying to back tap it. Sneaking up behind him. Oh, Dennis steps into the passing lane. It's a turnover. Dennis. And one. What are we doing, says Bill Self.
Ray J. Dennis, the MAC Player of the Year last year. And nobody integrates transfers better than Scott Drew. Good job of lip reading there, Mr. Champy.
It's a PG-13 broadcast. I'm only lip reading the good stuff, right?
Absolutely.
Dennis knocks it down, and Baylor, the lead, is at a dozen.
This is why I feel Baylor's got the most upside of any team in the Big 12 in March.
Harris couldn't hit. McCullough gets fouled.
And that should be 2. Should be 2 free throws right there. And you say why? Why do they have so much upside? This team had 1 returning starter, and really Bridges was the only guy who played a lot last year. Everybody was new, but look at the potential they have the next couple weeks.
McCullough knocks down the first. The fans behind the basket trying to distract Kevin McCullough with cupcakes and balloons. It's a party. The balloon maker was busy.
Hey, what do you think of this building, John? First time I've been in here.
It is delicious. I mean, the building's great. I was looking at the cupcakes, sorry. Okay. Look at this place.
I gave away a 6-pack of cupcakes to our young gentlemen in the first row back here. They will be Fran fans forever.
McCullough knocks them both down. Kansas within 10. Under 10 to go. Dennis has been so steady today, but this guy, Jaden Nunn, has been huge. 17 points. And leads all scorers.
Bridges hasn't been chopped with him.
Dennis into the paint. Puts it home. Ray J. Dennis, 10 points, 9 assists. Harris not able to hit, eventually gathers the loose ball.
I think it's a shot clock situation as to whether there was a change of possession.
Marcus Pettigrew going over the scorer's table. And it'll be Kansas basketball on the baseline, 65-53. Adams inside McCullough. A little bit strong. And a rebound. Nunn coming away with it. They get the foul on McCullough.
What you love about Jaden Nunn, he's from Flint, Michigan. They don't come any tougher. Watch him battle McCullough now. And this is just mano a mano. Of course, his dad, Tim, was on the greatest high school team in the history of Michigan high school basketball, Flint Northwestern, which produced a guy named Glenn Rice, a guy named Andre Rison, who had a great NFL career. But how about these transfers, John, and how well they fit into this Baylor system?
McCullough grabbing a seat. And some pressure here. Kansas led in the first half by as many as 5. Walter spins and gets fouled. And Marco Jackson charged with that foul. That's number 2 on El Marco. Kansas down a dozen. Bill Self has never lost as many as 7 conference games in the Big 12. But if they lose today, it will be conference loss number 7. And it's been the road that's been the issue.
Yep, no question. I honestly don't think we'll see a season like this in the near future. I think this is an aberration. It's one of Bill Self's worst teams, and yet they can go deep in the tournament because they're going to be a 3 seed.
Yeah, they're number 7 in the country. And trail at 66-53. Baylor calling a timeout. All right, so how does Kansas get back in this game? We've documented the fact that they don't shoot the 3 all that well. I mean, usually it's Furphy or Harris or McCullough knocking them down, but it's not a real strength, so they don't have that 3-run homer power.
Right, so what you have to do is you still have to go inside to Hunter Dickinson and hope that he can get you the 2s and the N1s and then the kick out 3s to the open Johnny Furphy.
And obviously got to get stops at the other end. Fans, Big 12 now on ESPN Plus. It is a must-have for Big 12 fans. Today's 3 featured matchups: number 8 Iowa State and UCF at 4 Eastern. Then Kansas State, Cincinnati, and TCU squares off against BYU. Sign up today at ESPNplus.com/big-12.
Yep, and that K-State Cincinnati game is absolutely huge for bubble implications. And hey, shout out to Mark Pope and the BYU Cougars. What a terrific first season in the Big 12. And great tradition, great arena, great fan base. And coming off one of their historic wins this week at Allen Fieldhouse.
Yeah, I've never done a game at Marriott Center.
I had the misfortune of coaching there. It wasn't fun, okay? 3 times. I was 1 and 2. All right. But great fans.
Great fans here. They've been going wacko and Waco most of the day.
Well, they're trying to go inside to Hunter. That's good strategy.
McDowell. Dickinson off the window and in.
John, if they establish him some more, then you'll see more white jerseys around him, and the kickouts will be easier 3s.
Misi getting set to check back in for Baylor. Bridges. Box out by Dickinson, but nobody came in to secure the rebound, so it's Baylor ball. None. It's a travel and a turnover. And our under 8 timeout. 66-55, 7:48 to go here in Waco. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC station. Big hat day here in Waco. Baylor leading it by 11. If the Phillips 66 Big 12 championship started today, here's what you have, and this is what you're playing for, right? A bye.
No question. And if you're Kansas, you're desperate for a bye because your top 4 teams in the regular season do not have to play until the quarterfinals this year.
That's big.
And as we talked about with Kansas's depth, John, it's particularly big for them.
Right now, closing in on 7.5 to go, and Kansas, Bill Self's team is down 11. Harris, and now Jackson, kick out to Dickinson. Jamari McDowell. Harris got a step, goes left hand, tip wouldn't fall.
Hunter will not shoot the 3. He's in a massive slump from behind the arc.
To the corner, Marco Jackson rattles it home. And Kansas with an 8. He's got 6 points and a couple of threes.
Coming out party maybe for the McDonald's All-American a year ago.
Remember, at one point he was in the starting lineup. Nisi into the paint, bangs and spins it off the glass.
The eyesight is fine.
He's got 15 here today. Jackson from the elbow. Got it. Well, Marco Jackson with 8.
This is the best he's played since Missouri in December. Very confident freshman from South Jersey. This is kind of what they expected from him, John.
Dennis already with a double-double here today. Throws to the corner and none. Shot clock is under 10. Bridges off balance, off the glass. Tip wouldn't fall. Rebound Dickinson. Here come the Jayhawks. They don't have numbers. McDowell wisely slows it down. Pull-up jumper. Bill Self a little frustrated with that choice. Dennis, lob, Nisi. Couldn't corral it, and they get a foul. Foul on Hunter Dickinson, his 3rd. Bill Self has not been pleased with his team here this afternoon.
A little pick and roll action by Baylor, and Nisi, you cannot let him get behind you. Interesting that they didn't call this a 2-shot foul. And that surprises me. And actually not a bad thing since Nisi's not a great foul shooter.
Dennis to inbound. And they go with the lob. Nope, you go with the shot. And Dennis flips it up and in. Fran, how do you diagnose that?
I would say
a shot.
Absolutely a shot.
McCullough finds Dickinson, got it blocked by Bridges, score the goal.
Well, you know, when you talk about Ray J. Dennis, he's as good in the floater game as anybody. This is routine for him. Watch this. We talked about him playing like those Villanova Jay Wright guards. That's who he is. He's a great post-up guard. He's got great floater action, and he's not a pure point guard, but he's really manned it well.
Fans reacting to a replay that just was put up on the Jumbotron. And a turnover, none, lost it out of bounds. Kansas basketball. Baylor leading it by 8. Scott Drew and Chris Pacey having a chat.
I'll tell you this, 8 points is nothing. The door is open for Kansas right now. Feels like Baylor's been in control the whole second half, but I don't see it that way.
Harris, little floater, got it. And they're within 6.
They have put the pressure on Baylor to match buckets now.
Dennis with Harris on him. Dennis gets into the paint. Now wanders out, almost turned it over. Nunn has it. Shot clock under 10. Messi away from the basket. Puts it on the floor. Going to work on Dickinson. Gets it to go. Wow, tough shot. Messi. Great post pass from McCullough. And Dickinson is fouled inside. Another tight one in the Big 12. What else is new? Baylor leading at home.
Timberlake the steal and the slam. And that's going to go. Dickinson hits the three. Walter, got to get a shot off. Oh, just short, and Kansas hangs on.
February 10th, Kansas escaping with a three-point win. Baylor turned it over 21 times in that game. It's the 10th straight ranked meeting between these two. Longest active streak in Division I, as they have combined for 9 of the last 10 Big 12 regular season titles. What did Marcus Pettigrew tell you?
Well, they went to review the goaltending or basket interference, and they did not have enough evidence to overrule it, so it stays as is. 2 points for Kansas. It was a couple possessions ago, because by rule now you have to wait until the next TV timeout coming.
Kansas has come back to win from 10 or more 4 times this year. The most when they were down 14 to Kentucky. Baylor has led by 13 in this game.
In BYU, in the loss to BYU, the gentleman at the line, 6 of 15.
Well, he has been in a free throw funk. Gets 1 out of 2. It's a 7-point game, under 4 to go. Messi and Nunn each with 17 for the Bears. Dickinson with 17. McCullough with 16 for Kansas. Coming up here on ABC, it's the Panthers and the Red Wings. NHL hockey for you. Great job as Harris steps in with the steal. McCullough off the glass and rolls out.
Wow, what a turnaround.
That is huge.
Kevin McCullough will miss that shot once in 100. Great look by Harris off the steal.
Look at this pass.
Yeah, unbelievable. Watch McCullough. He ain't missing that very much. And then the foul at the other end.
And now it's Nunn at the line. Jaden Nunn, 70% free throw shooter. And a 1-and-1 spot. Gets the first.
Spent a couple years at VCU, and he's fitting like a glove here at Waco.
This is the second. Baylor's lead is 8. Harris gives off McCullough, and this time he falls for him. Wow.
What did I say about 99 out of 100?
Yeah.
Good cut. Another great look by Harris. We have a ball game, Mr. Shambi.
Indeed. Under 3 to go. Baylor by 6 with the ball.
Stop of the game for Kansas right here.
Dennis, shot clock winding down. Floater. Great shot. What a game for Ray J. Dennis. He's got 14 points and 10 assists. Jackson, shot short, put back, McCullough. He's got 20.
And it's still a two-possession game for Kansas. What they're doing is putting pressure on Baylor to keep scoring.
Jackson has played big minutes here today. Great steal by Harris. Harris, Euro step, left hand, and it goes! Oh my goodness, what a shot to Juan Harris!
The steal was great, and the finish was even better.
.90 seconds to go. It's a 4-point game. Dennis, floater, got it! Oh, man!
He's on cloud 9 with the floaters.
Harris takes it back, left hand, wouldn't fall. Dennis the rebound.
Bill Self wants a foul.
Bill Self saying grab him. Adams picks up his third. You know, Fran, you look at the offensive end for Baylor, it's a really talented offensive team, but down the stretch, it hasn't been Walter, it hasn't been Messi, it hasn't been none, it's been Dennis hitting those big floater shots.
No question, the MVP of the preseason NIT when we saw him in November. But to your point, John, 6 in double figures. So it's really whack-a-mole when you play Baylor offensively. And I think this, we'll watch this young man shoot the free throws. But this season turned around in the second half against Houston. You watch a week ago.
Walter, outstanding free throw shooter, 85%. Scott Drew loving it.
The #1 team in the country came in here last week, up 16 in the first half. Baylor took them to overtime. That could be the turning point of this season.
Houston, the #1 team in the nation. Kansas was the preseason #1 team in the country. McCullough for three. Out of bounds, and they say Walter got shoved. And it's a foul on Kansas.
They've been hustling from the opening tip, both teams. And a little nudge there by Jackson. You talk about Dennis and how important has none been today. I think on the flip side, the optimism for Kansas is Kevin McCullough's back. And obviously, this is a top 10 team when they're at full strength.
Jacoby Walter, one of the top freshmen in the country. He was the #8 ranked recruit in the ESPN 100. He's lived up to the hype. Kansas down 8. Dickinson will try a three and hit. Timeout, Kansas. It's a 5-point game with 34.2 seconds left. And again, NHL action. Panthers, Red Wings coming up at the conclusion of our game. From Foster Pavilion here in Waco, a top 15 battle in the Big 12. Kansas and Baylor. And down the stretch, Baylor needing baskets, and Ray J. Dennis coming up huge.
Fun to watch this young man play. Started his career at Boise, finished at Toledo, MVP of the MAC last year, fifth-year senior. And this is his game right here. He's got that mid-range magic.
16 points, 10 assists. The ball has been in his hands a ton here today, and he's done a great job taking care of it, making good decisions. Just 2 turnovers here in this one, and playing big minutes.
He's a great story, John. A young man born with a club foot. He did not walk until the age of 2.5. Had the cast on that right leg. You could see it's actually smaller, the right leg, than the left leg. You can't see it from there, but trust me. But to overcome, you know, what could have been a debilitating birth defect has not stopped this young man at all. Now, if you're Kansas, you are in a 2-possession game. They're not a pressing team, but they know how to press. And what they're gonna do right now is they've got enough time to try to get a trap or 2, and then they must foul. And what Baylor will do is they'll take Misi and put him as far away from the ball as possible so that he's not fouled.
Nunn inbounds. Dennis runs to the ball. They get it back to Nunn. Foul on Jackson. Dennis will go to the line. 4th on Elmarko Jackson. Ray J. Dennis, 70% free throw shooter. I beg your pardon, 5 on Elmarko Jackson, so he is done.
You mentioned it earlier. We're going to stick around and see the final meeting in the Big 12 on Monday night of Texas and Baylor.
Yeah, that'll be a good atmosphere. Yeah. Great atmosphere here today. The whiteout in Waco.
You know what I think about this second half, every time Kansas made a run, give Baylor credit, they answered.
Dennis with 16, make it 17 in his 3rd double-double of the year. Dennis gets them both. He's got 18. McCullough a 3. Walter rebounds. And that's going to do it. Adams with the foul and a huge win for Baylor. 12.1 to go. And the Baylor Bears fixing to get out of here with a win against their rivals. I mean, it's amazing to think. I mean, you've been in this league forever, Fran, but Kansas and Baylor is one of the top rivalries in all of college basketball.
Yeah, no question. You know, you got a Hall of Fame coach in Bill Self, and that gentleman right there is going to the Naismith Hall of Fame someday. Still a relatively young guy, but easy to say it now, the greatest rebuilding job in NCAA history.
They both came to their current jobs in 2003, and both have done a marvelous job. Furphy, his minutes limited in the second half. Baylor wins it. 82-74 in the final. Up next, NHL hockey, the Florida Panthers and the Detroit Red Wings. Thanks for joining us here in Waco. For Fran Fraschilla and our entire outstanding crew, I'm John Jami. Thanks so much for joining us. ABC Hockey coming your way after these messages.